Hello audience, my name is Duck aka Troublesome Junction and welcome to the new series called The Milk Tank. This is going to be a new series where we're basically going to be taking deep dive analyses of events, crazy shit of just me talking about random shit. I'm primarily going to probably retain around Thomas and friends, but I would like to incorporate maybe some crazy IRL stories and shit like that. So first episode here we have is a tier list. We're going to be talking about the different types of coupling systems for a variety of Thomas and Friends merchandise and see what's some good stuff and some absolute dog shit stuff. So let's get into it. Alright, so first things first, let's start with Urtle Thomas. You can't go wrong with the classics. So I will definitely say it's clever and genius to incorporate the coupling system into the running board and just mold it into one thing. That's insanely smart. But the problem is one, you could argue the fact that it is kind of big on it, but I'd say the biggest problem without a doubt is one, the fact that you can't connect the engines together, and two, the little pins that are only on rolling stock snap off way too fucking easily. Despite how good the engines are, I'm definitely gonna say as a coupling system, it ranks in at a solid C. Right then, so next one is the European Urtle coupling system. Now this one is a big improvement over the original one. For one, it can actually go up hills because of the back coupling has a, C design, which is something that the original one couldn't do because the stupid pin on it would just keep popping out or even potentially break. So that was a big improvement. And another thing is the fact that now you can connect up engines and rolling stocks in any way you want. If you want to have them backwards, you can. If you want to connect an engine to the locomotive, you can. It's a two-way system where it has a hole in the top where you can drop a peg in, or you can connect the little clip thing to the little U-hook thing. Now, the problem that I'll say with this is you could make the argument, yeah, it is kind of big, bulky, and weird looking, but I would say that the biggest problem is the fact that the U-hook on the back of it is very, very fragile. I have seen countless listings of these things completely chewed up and torn off. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, And it is really sad, but they tried to go for something that was better, but, overall, it didn't fully meet that, so this is definitely going at a solid B tier. An improvement, but maybe not the best. Urtle Miniatures, aka fucking Thomas Minis done right. Now these guys basically have an identical coupling system to the Urtle range, but they do have an improvement, and that's in the fact that the coupling system is molded in die-cast metal because that's how the actual engine is casted. So basically everything on it is die-cast metal besides the wheels and then the little sticker face. So I'm probably going to put it in B tier, though, just know that it gets this mark just slightly, mainly because you don't have to worry about pins and such breaking on the rolling stock, but yeah, B tier it is, I guess. Alright, so this next one is just an instant fucking S tier. Like, if you're a Thomas fan, you already know what this is about. So this is the Bandai Tech / Urtle Gold Rail Thomas system, and the way that these magnets work is that, you get, let's say you get two engines together, and you connect them up using these little magnets that look kind of like the ones on your refrigerator, and, you start pulling them along and whatnot, but let's say you want to uncouple them. Rather than having to, use two hands and separate them normally like that, you can just casually flick the little lever at the very back of the engine and boom. Like, it's such a genius design to use the, fact that if you twist magnets, they become polarized and then non-polarized type shit. It's super fucking cool, and I think that play feature alone makes it's worthy of instant S tier just because we really haven't had a Thomas line ever try and replicate that kind of system ever again. It's unfortunate, but I guess in a way that does make the line more special. But yeah, S tier, well deserved. Next on the tier list we have the Nakayoshi range, which is the sister series to the Bandai Tech range. So this series is well praised and well loved by fans, and it rightly deserves that spot for how nice the engines are. But a way that they basically made the series was they cut cost instead of making them, all die cast and whatnot. They resorted to using a lot of plastic. And the way that they did this for the coupling system was they just made it so it's a simple peg and hole system. you know. The thing that I think really works well with this is the fact that it is a smaller type of design, but it's not too small to the point where it looks like it could break very easily. And it uses a very flexible type of plastic, so, you know, it works really well with going up hills and stuff like that. So I'm going to put this at A tier, you know, it works well, pretty discreet, it does the job really well. A tier it is. Now this next one, I and many others have grown up with this range. It is the take along / take and play range. Now this one is the smart magnet design. It's really iconic, and I think it really does serve its purpose well. You can couple up engines from either side, either way. Really nice system. But I will say the fact that it really bothered me as a kid that, you know, if the load that you had was too heavy, it would uncouple. Or, you know, if you tried to make your engines airborne or something like that, let's say you wanted to dangle Thomas over a ledge or some shit, yeah, you really couldn't do that. The coupling system, it works well, but I don't know. I personally had some problems and goofs with it, but damn, I'll take it over what the fuck came next. So I'm going to put this in A tier, because as a coupling system, it works really well, and it's really nice. And for the fact that it has that nice metallic finish, it really does kind of look like, oh, it could be, you could pretend it's a hook or whatever. So A tier it is. Oh my god, the next one. I can't name a damn soul that can say that this was a good idea. So this is the Take and Play 2.0 coupling system. It's going in F tier. You can't change my mind. I think it's very universally agreed that this is dog shit. I actually have a theory of why Mattel thought, oh, let's do this instead of just being smart about it. I might make a milk tank on it probably at some point, I don't know. But yeah, F tier. This shit was awful. It worked one way. The engines looked really fucking long, and then the goddamn magnets on the end of them corroded. Like, if you see this gold Thomas here, I got this back when they were still on store shelves and all that, and look at the front of it. It's like corroded, and this is how it is on all of my Take and Play 2.0 models. It was fucking awful. Now this next one, despite it being exactly the same as the Take and Play 2.0 model, I'm gonna put this at B tier, just for the fact that yes, it might be the same, but it does work a lot better with being on a bigger engine. And not to mention the universal appeal that Thomas Wooden Railway had with this. You know, basically every wooden toy train used this type of magnet system. They held together well. You know, you don't really see them get corroded like how that the 2.0 ones do. They're just better quality, and just, you know, overall it's aesthetically pleasing to what Wooden Railway is. Now this next one, I'm going to come right out and say it. This is my undisputed favorite Thomas and Friends coupling system. It is the Adventures coupling system, and that is for one reason. It works so well. So, you know, it's the nice gray color, so you could play it off as, oh, it's just a train coupling. And two, you know, you can couple them up in any way, direction, because they pivot, and they have that nice C design that I feel like the Urtle 2.0 tried to do, but, you know, where they failed, Adventure succeeded. S tier it is. I love these things, and if I could go back in time, I wish I could tell the people over at Urtle, like, yo, hey, put this on those. You'll make money. Trust me. It's such a shame that they got discontinued. Alright, so we have the minis. Whether you love them or you hate them, or you have mixed feelings on them like how I do, you know, you got to point out the fact that it has the exact same coupling system as Nakayoshi, but it's kind of jarring of how big it is. So yeah, I'm gonna have to say probably B tier. I know, it's all big because of how small the engine is. You need something kids can actually do, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit, it's B tier, say no more. So the next system we have is the Tomy / Trackmaster system. Now, for this one, I think it's a really good coupling system because of just how, you know, universal it is in terms of what you do with it. You can hold engines up in the air and have them suspended together. You can go up inclines. It works on normal track. It's not too jarring, you know, even with the redesign of Trackmaster 2, of how they made them, you know, a gray color. I thought that was a really smart move. I will definitely say a big problem I do have with it though is the fact that you can't connect, like there's no front hook on the engines unless they're a push along engine. So I definitely will, you know what, I'm going to put it in A tier. It's a really good coupling system, works really well, looks really nice, very iconic. A tier, boom, moving on. Alright, so next up we got the Diapet Thomas line, you know, known for their amazing looking and accurate engines, but I'd say the weakest link in them is without a doubt the coupling system. It's really cheap, you know, it's a knuckle coupler, it just swivels there, it has no springs in it, no nothing. D tier. It's going in D tier. It just, you know, even when I first got my Thomas, I honestly just straight up took off the couplings. I did inevitably put them back on though once I got, you know, Percy and Hero, but I just don't like them. I don't think many people do either. Next up, we got the Tomy diecast engines. Now, for these guys, their coupling system is a really strong one. Like, it works really well, but it is just, in a sense, a very long piece of plastic in between the engines that it can be kind of jarring at times, but, you know, I get that they're smaller. They really don't have any articulation of, like, tender or anything. So they're kind of like just smaller Urtles, so I'm going to put them in C tier. You know, they're not bad, but not the best. So this next one I wanted to add on just because it kind of reminded me of the Tomy diecast one. It's Pocket Fantasy. Now, don't get me wrong, this line is really cool. Like, I think the concept of having these little plastic engines, you know, in this really chibi form with accurate looking faces and really just fun. But my god, this coupling system can burn in hell. You want to talk about my least favorite coupling system in terms of just aesthetic and everything that just pisses me off at the thought of it? It's Pocket Fantasy. This long ass fucking piece of plastic in between the engines, creating this big gap between them. Like, keep in mind, these engines and stuff are already small as it is. If they were much bigger, okay, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But for the fact that they're this small and you had to use this big of a piece of plastic is fucking ridiculous. You could have molded something on it, like how, you know, you had adventures, or even just use some kind of smaller hook and loop system. There were so many better ways you could have done this, but no. You chose, let's throw a fucking bone between the engines and rolling stock. Fuck off, man. F tier. Getting back on track, the next one we have is the Departing Now Thomas. Now, this one is a range that is well loved by many Thomas fans just because of how interesting and cool of a concept it was, and honestly, I wish that we got something like this in the US. But this coupling system is very similar to the Nakayoshi, and it has elements of the Tomy diecast one. It's kind of like they just combine the two because it has really good articulation, but it also has a very discreet but in functioning coupling system. I'm actually quite a fan of this one. I'm going to put it in A tier because it does improve upon a lot of the things, like, you know, issues, for example, with the Nakayoshi, technically not having much articulation when it comes to uphill, so you don't have to worry about that part, you know, bending and all that. So I'm going to say A tier. Now, the next one is one that is very synonymous with YouTuber user Leo Kim Video, the good old Checkout Thomases. Now, these ones are going to be F tier because they don't fucking have couplings, but you're probably wondering, well, why did you include it on this list? Because this line also has characters such as Annie and Clarabelle. Why would you have a Thomas line that has rolling stock characters if you can't do anything with them? F tier. These things suck anyways. Now, the next line is, in my opinion, a Thomas introductory line done right. You have the Gold Bears, a really awesome line. So these guys have a coupling system that have a ball type thing. It's like a rounded L peg that hooks into a peg that has a little cup on the end of it. And in my opinion, I'm going to put it at C tier. It's a pretty good coupling system for what they were going for. They really didn't have a need to make for any, you know, accommodate for any hills or anything because none of the track systems or sets had hills. So I think it works really well. Pretty average, so C tier it is. So you're probably looking at this last one and saying, Duck, what the fuck is that? All I can say in response is, good question. Honestly, when I was looking up pictures of Thomas and Friends merchandise, I just stumbled upon this thing. And I was like, what why is this the thing? But what I've kind of, come to the conclusion of is it seems like Mattel's attempt at doing what Gold Bear did, having an introductory Thomas line for young kids. But my god, that coupling system, it's so big and jarring. Like, come on, man. I'm gonna put it in E tier. I'm gonna give it benefit of the doubt. Like, yeah, it is for little kids. It's not meant for your average, Thomas fan or your average man-child Thomas fan. But at the same time, if you wanted something along those lines, I would have done something like what Gold Bear had done. So yeah, this is my tier list of Thomas and Friends merchandise. This was actually a video before I came up with the concept of the milk tank. I was going to make this video back in March of early this year, but I canceled the project because all my stuff was on my school iPad, and the early test recordings came out to be way too long. Like, I'm talking 40 minutes, and there's a bunch of, other things I added onto it, but they were basically like repetitive characters, like, oh, Trackmaster 2's coupling system, Tomy capsule play rail, when in reality it's basically no different from Tomy. Things like that, and the video just really didn't come together well, so I had canceled it and shelved it. But I'm glad that I can have it be, introduction to the milk tank. So if you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel. And if you disagree with this tier list or you want to contribute to it, maybe you know of another Thomas line that is much more obscure and has a unique coupling system to itself, let me know in the comments down below. So that's all for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Troublesome Junction, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.